Have you ever looked back and realized you were never really someone's first choice? Not in a dramatic way, not in a way anyone would notice from the outside. Just this quiet realization that creeps in one day when you're not even looking for it. That in the most of the relationships you had, the friendships, the people you cared about, you were the option, not the priority, the backup. And the worst part is, you don't see it while it's happening because from where you're standing, you're just being a good friend, a good partner, a good person. You're just giving, you're just showing up. And it feels like love, it feels like connection, it feels like you're building something real with someone. And then slowly, quietly, you start to notice things. You notice that you're always the one reaching out first, always the one checking in, always the one saying, "Hey, I haven't heard from you in a while." And they respond, they're happy to hear from you. The conversation is good. But they never started it, they never thought to. And you tell yourself it's fine because people get busy, it doesn't mean anything. But it means something. You notice that when something good happens to them, you're not the first person they tell. You find out later through a message or a passing comment or sometimes through someone else entirely. And it stings in this quiet way that you can't really express because technically they did tell you, just not first. Just not in that excited, I had to tell you immediately kind of way. And you wonder who got that version of the news, who got the real reaction before it cooled down into the version you received. I used to play a lot of online games, and there's this specific feeling you get when you're the one who gets invited only because they need one more player, not because they thought of you, not because the group isn't complete without you, just because they needed a number and you were available. And you join because you want to be there, and you have fun because the game is fun. But somewhere in the back of your mind, you know you weren't the first pick. You know if someone else had been online, you wouldn't have gotten the invite. And you play anyway because being the backup is still better than not being included at all. And that's the trap of it. You get just enough to keep you there, just enough to make you feel like you matter, a message, an invitation there, a moment where they make you feel like you're important to them. And you hold on to that memories, you replay them, you use them as evidence that you're not imagining things, that this is real and that you do matter to those people. But then the silence come back and you're waiting again. I had this situation with someone I liked, and for a while it felt like something. We talked every day, we played together. We had our thing, and I genuinely thought I was someone to them. Not just a person they talked to when they were bored, but an actual someone. The kind of person they thought about when something reminded of them an inside joke. The kind of person they wanted to share things with. And then I started noticing the pattern. When they were busy or distracted or caught up with someone else, the conversation got shorter, drier. One word answers, and I would tell myself they were just having a bad day, just tired, just going through something, so I would give them space. And then I would reach out again, and sometimes they would come back warm, and it felt like it used to, and I'd forget about the dry spell entirely. But then it would happen again and again, and I'd be right back in that cycle of wondering where I stood. The hardest part wasn't the cold moments, it was the warm ones. Because the warm ones gave me hope, and hope is what keeps you stuck. Hope is what makes you rationalize the cold moments. Hope is what makes you say maybe this time they'll be different. Maybe this time I'll be the first choice. I think about all the energy I spent trying to be someone worth choosing, trying to be more interesting, more fun, more available, more everything. Adjusting myself based on what I thought they needed, showing up harder, being more present, thinking that if I just give enough, eventually I'd move up. Eventually I'd stop being the option, start being the priority. And that's not how it works though. Because the thing is, people don't choose you because you tried hard enough. They either think of you first or they don't. And no amount of efforts change that. You can't earn your way into being someone's first thought. Either you're there or you're not. And realizing that after you've been trying for so long is one of the most deflating feelings I know. There's a specific loneliness that comes with being the backup in a friend group, because at least with the relationships, that's a clear dynamic, that's a label. There are expectations, but with friends, it's blurry. There are no rules about who has to reach out first or who should be whose priority. So you can't even bring it up without sounding needy or weird or like you want too much from people. So you just notice and say nothing. You sit in the group chat that goes quiet for days and then explodes with conversation you weren't part of starting. You see the plans that got made without you and then got mentioned to you after as a courtesy. You get the oh, you should have come after the fact, knowing you were never really going to be told in the first place. And you smile and say, yeah, next time, knowing next time will probably look the same. And the worst part is, you love those people. That's what makes it so complicated. You're not dealing with bad people, you're dealing with people who genuinely like you, who would say you matter to them, who would be confused if you told them how you felt because, from their perspective, they're not doing anything wrong. They're just living their lives. And in their lives, you're just not at the top. And you have to figure out what to do with that. I spent a long time being angry about it, not openly, just quietly. That low burning kind of anger that sits underneath everything, where you're little more than withdrawn than usual, and you tell yourself you're just tired, but really you're just tired of being an afterthought. And then the anger fades, and that's what's left is just this quiet, sad acceptance, where you stop expecting to be the first choice, where you stop waiting for that invite to come to you first, where you just exist on the edges of people's life and tell yourself that's fine. That's just how it is. But here's what I've been thinking about lately. The problem was never that I was a backup to these people. The problem was that I accepted it without question. I kept showing up for people who wouldn't have shown up for me. I kept investing in the connections that weren't being equally invested in. And I told myself that it's just what caring about people looks like. But caring about people doesn't mean making yourself small so they don't have to make space. Caring about people doesn't mean accepting whatever version of them they're willing to give you and being grateful for it. You are allowed to want to be someone's first thought. You're allowed to want friends who reach out first sometimes. You're allowed to want a person who thinks of you when something good happens and can't wait to tell you. That's not asking for too much. That's just asking to matter. And I think the real shift happens when you stop trying to earn from that people who are never going to give it to you and start paying attention to the people who already do. The ones who message first, the ones who thought of you, the ones who don't make you wonder where you stand because they make it obvious. Those people exist. They're just easy to overlook when you're so focused on the ones who make you feel like you have to work for it. You were never the backup. You were just in the wrong rooms.